Have you ever heard about the term called conflict of interest? I bet you do. One thing most of us are not aware of is that it is not only political offices that suffer from this problem. Of all of the possible domains, it is the stock market which is hotbed for it. You must have seen market experts appearing on morning news shows minutes before the trading bell rings. Do you really think these experts are there to help you? They are there to drive the prices according to their own whims and fancies. They know that their opinion on a particular share can move the share price in any direction. There are thousands of such experts all over the world. It is like a round trip. They have built their reputation by analyzing trends correctly during their heydays. When they are credible, it is them who become the bull or bear, benefiting from the toils of early years. Remember Harshad Mehta? He became the bull by rising through ranks. Multiply his impact by 100 or maybe 1,000 times. This is the dreamland of Hindenburg Research and George Soros. Both believe that they can cause havoc through their opinions just like they have done in the past. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Savita Mishra and this is TFI Post. Some analysts have come to believe that George Soros is betting big against India. No, not in political terms. He is a political nobody and just a rich American elite in his 90s having money. On particular issues, Soros is as incoherent, ill-informed and as opinionated as average uneducated tea shop owner. Soros' main domain is the financial market, which in turn is linked to the economy, which ultimately is linked to politics. It is here that Soros has always won big, through which his political opinions get irrationally reverberated. Soros has spent his life creating disharmony, spreading social conflicts, weakening the population for the sake of his own gain. It all started way back in Nazi Germany when George was a teenager. His ethnicity is Jewish and his father was quite influential in Hungary. At the age of 14, George was supposed to accompany his Jewish community along with their painful journey. Instead, the shrewd George assumed a false identity and accompanied a Nazi officer who went on to confiscate properties owned by Jews in Budapest. In 1992, his hedge fund named Soros Fund Management decided to degrade the British pound. Soros told the world that the British pound did not have a good inflation and interest rate regime and therefore the pound was overvalued. Soros used pounds to buy German franc which just got freed from the Soviet clutches. It's tough to chalk out exact fundamentals of pounds at that juncture of time, but Soros' negative opinion on the selected reading of the currency made it impossible to retain value. The Bank of England did try to intervene by spending their existing forex reserve to buy more coins, but they were helpless against Soros' onslaught. The British government lost more than £3.3 billion. The crisis resulted in inflation, increased taxes, social unrest and political turmoil, leading to the coming to the power of Tony Blair in 1997, the man who joined the US in the Iraq War. On the other hand, Soros made $1 billion American dollars by causing these disasters. One may claim that currency was already weak, but investors like Stanley Druckenmiller are of the opinion that for these benefits, Soros worsened the looming crisis. He was not going to stop there. He allegedly tried that with Finnish macaws as well, but failed. In 1997, the man repeated his sterling stunt in Asia. In July, Thai authorities had decided to unpeg their currency, baht, from American dollar. The clever Soros had already brought forward a contract for a specific rate. After unpegging the currency, its value went down. When that happened, Soros bought baht worth of more than $1 billion in the spot market. Do you know how he sold it? He sold them using his own forward contacts and doubled his investments. Soros later went on to do the same with Malaysian ringgit, triggering an economic collapse unprecedented in Asia since 1940s. South Korea, Indonesia, Thailand, Hong Kong, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Brunei, mainland China, Japan, Singapore, Taiwan and Vietnam were affected by it. In Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, South Korea and the Philippines, the nominal GDP per capita decreased by 43.2%, 21.2%, 19%, 18.5% and 12.5%. That happened in a span of single year. Soros had never accepted his role in clear terms, but Paul Krugman, renowned economist, had no qualms in putting it out. Pointing to Soros' effect on financial system of the world, Paul said, I'm quoting, "Nobody who has read a business magazine in the last few years can be unaware that these days They are really investors who do not move money in anticipation of a currency crisis, but actually do their best to trigger the crisis for the fun and profit. These new actors on the scene do not yet have a standard name. My proposed term is Soroi. When Soros was asked about the impact of his actions on the lives of the common people, the man asserted that he doesn't care. He used the academic jargon of economics, being an immoral domain, to plead innocence. Quote, I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do. I don't feel guilty, because I am engaged in an immoral activity which is not meant to have anything to do with guilt. Despite his astuteness, Soros has been caught red-handed many times. He has been convicted of insider trading, illegal manipulation of shares, and naked short selling in the past. France, Hong Kong, and even his native country, Hungary, have been caught napping. Soros' modus operandi is simple, and while we are talking about his modus operandi, it is worthwhile to mention that this is the same modus operandi which Hindenburg Research used against Gautam Adani. Here is how. During the course of its cycle, every business, economy, commodity, and currency goes through ups and downs. There are times when the entity looks strongest and vice versa. These are measured in terms like customer acquisition, sales revenue, profit margin, gross margin, EBITDA, and many other terms. If the crux of all these metrics predicts a good future, the entity is slated to rise or nosedive. Now, with a country with decades-old history like Adani Enterprises or the national economy, ups and downs come in cycles. So, for instance, the Adani Group is currently expanding itself, and that too in the domains in which it is not known for. While most of us know Adani for infrastructure, the company's business domain includes port management, electric power generation and transmission, renewable energy, mining, airport operations, natural gas, and food processing. Doing all at once requires lots of time and, most importantly, money. It is true for every big industrial conglomerate, including Dhirubhai Ambani. Resultantly, Adani has taken a lot of money from banks, putting it under debt. Any risk-taker business person does that. As of September 2022, this debt is over 1.96 lakh crore on Adani. Naturally, key metrics take a hit for the time period till these debts do not start producing results. Same happens in the case of national economies that are going through temporary economic turmoil. What these short sellers do is take advantage of their own established reputation in the market and pick selective metrics that pose a bad light for them and create harakiri in the market. So, for instance, one of the metrics used by Hindenburg is current ratio. It is a liquidity ratio that measures a company's ability to pay short-term obligations or those within 1 year. During the expansion phase, it is next to impossible to keep it balanced. But that imbalance is temporary, and with the kind of reputation the Adani empire has built, it is not a big problem. It is quite evident by the way investors have trusted Adani on the basis of fundamentals. The crux of Hindenburg's problem with Adani is that Adani was not running a tenable business as debt was too big. According to DLF chairman KP Singh, Adani was on his way of balancing this debt to equity. The follow-on public offer, before which Hindenburg released its report, was a step in that direction. And this is where the notoriety of the financial world kicked in. The kind of experts Nathan Anderson-led Hindenburg Research possesses, it is hard to believe that nobody told the organization about the intent behind follow-on public offer. Hindenburg still decided to go ahead with it. They may turn out to be true a few decades down the line. But then again, why would they squander a company's opportunity to correct something which they themselves claim to have exposed? The report came just 2 days before the launch of FPO. By shorting Adani, Anderson & Co. made millions, possibly billions of dollars. It is not different from what Soros does to national economies. The only difference is that Soros is politically anarchist, while Hindenburg's political viewpoint is yet unknown. Do not get surprised if they donate to left-wing parties in the future.